Near the highway number 8, around 80 kilometers away from Buenos Aires City, you'll find Capilla del Señor. This town is the administrative seat of Exaltación de la Cruz district, and according to the 2010 census, there are over 9,000 people living here. Founded the 14th of September of 1735, it's the oldest town of the province of Buenos Aires. This is the town's main square and is called San Martin. It was inaugurated in 1872 and it's located in what used to be a cemetery. As you can see, it's kept in a flawless condition, and since most of the main buildings are around it, it's the perfect place to start your tour around the town. Here is where, every 14th of September, the whole town gathers to celebrate the new anniversary of its foundation. There are several busts, like the one that honors Argentine founding father San Martin, another of his wife Remedios de Escalada, and also one of Eva Perón. The big obelisk is a reminder of when the former president Raúl Alfonsín, also known as the father of Argentine democracy, visited the town. I'm sure that there are a lot of stories around this place, but the most interesting perhaps is the one about Toby, the town's dog. The story says that after his owner died, Toby followed the funeral procession from the parish up to the cemetery, but after it he didn't come back home. He went straight to the square and sat down in the same place, right in front of the church. Since that day, every time that there was a funeral procession, he would follow it to the cemetery and then come back to the square. After he died, he was buried right here, under the shadow of this cedar tree where he used to live. Next to his resting place, a plaque and a sign reminds everyone the story of Toby, the town's dog and a loyal friend. Right in front of San Martin Square, you can see the tower of the Exaltación de la Cruz Parrish, the biggest building of the town. It was built in 1865, and the architects in charge of this project were Hunt and Gerarder. They are the same ones who designed two iconic buildings of the city of Buenos Aires, the Stock Exchange and the Customs of Buenos Aires. In this site, during the 18th century, was located the house of Don Francisco Casco de Mendoza, who had a family oratory that was open to the public worship in 1735. Since that moment onwards, people began moving to this area. They wanted to be closer to this oratory that later became a chapel. And this is how they began to call the area Lord's Chapel, and the town got his name. Or at least that's the story that I heard. What you're seeing now is a relic of the Holy Cross. It was a gift from the Pope Gregorio XVI to Monsignor Clemente Mancini, who then yielded it to Presbyter Domingo Scavini. This last one finally donated to this parish. There are several places of interest around San Martin Square. The most important perhaps is the school number 1, Bernardino Rivadavia, which was founded in 1821 by Bernardino Rivadavia. At that moment he was just a minister, but 5 years later he would become the first president of Argentina. This building is the Asociación Mutual Roma and was founded in 1889. It's another example of the footprint that thousands of Italian immigrants left in the country after they arrived during the 19th and 20th century. The Italian-style house that you're seeing now was built in 1927, almost 100 years ago. It's famous for its viewpoint tower of 4 sides, each of them showing the name of the building written with tiles, Mira Lejos. Besides the church, the municipal palace is perhaps the most eye-catching building in this area. It was inaugurated in 1904 and the money to build it came from the compensation that the train company had to pay the town for tracing a railroad through it. In the top of the front there are 2 initials, CM, that stands for Casa Municipal. The first municipal government was stated on January 27th of 1856. 10 years later, Eduardo Tormey was elected as the first mayor of the town. There are other landmarks to visit around San Martin Square, but I'll leave them for another video. This is Marciano Montalvo's house, who was a very well-known musician of the area. When he was 5 years old, he went blind due to the smallpox, but this didn't stop him from dominating several different instruments, such as guitar, violin, accordion, sax, piano, and many more. Marciano also directed the first music school that worked in this same house. Next to his house there is a passage called Pasaje Papa Francisco. Through this road, 3 Jesuits entered the town in 1903, and in only 4 days a lot of people gathered around them, which was very rare for that time. Many years later, another Jesuit that had just been ordained priest had a meeting with the town in the parish that we saw before. Back then, his name was Jorge Bergoglio. Now he's called Pope Francis. If you follow this passage, you'll end in this open park called Paseo Arcoiris. This beautiful park follows the De la Cruz Creek, which is born in the district of San Andrés de Giles and ends in the Paraná River after traveling 70 kilometers. This huge park is great for having a walk and spending the afternoon surrounded by nature. If you come to the town, you must visit it. Across the stream there is a small island which has been declared natural reserve. As you can see, the vegetation here is very dense, but not only from above, also from the ground. Following the creek, you'll arrive to the town's main entrance, and next to it is this historical bridge called Brigadier Mitre. This was the first bridge over De la Cruz Creek, and it dates from 1861. It was built by the engineers Hunt and Gerarder, the same ones that made the church. Back in that time, there used to be a small box office where a person was in charge of collecting a small amount to everyone who wanted to cross the bridge. This is the ancient Lazareto, where they treated the sick and dying who were infected during the cholera outbreak of 1867. Even though this property is now private, they kept the old facade, while the local government had done some maintenance jobs in order to preserve it and keep the history of the town alive. A couple of blocks away from the main square, you'll find several interesting places, such as this house known as El Mirador. It was built in the second half of the 19th century, and it's famous for its tower with a dome covered with maholigas. Originally, it was an important hotel casino, but nowadays it's a restaurant. This corner is called El León due to the figure of a lion on top of its front. I've heard a couple of different stories about its origins, and if you're from here, I'd love to hear your version in the comments below. Moving on, we can find the actual municipal cultural center, referred as Salón Cosmopolita. It was founded in 1984 and it was the first institution of mutual aid in the district. Its spars were made by Don Santiago Maidac, the same person who built the chains for the first bridge that we saw before. There are two train stations in Capilla del Señor, one that belongs to the railway Urquiza and is closed, while the other belongs to the railway Mitre and is the one that we're seeing now. This train station has a classic English architecture and was built in July of 1892. Right now there are renovation jobs going on this railroad and the service is suspended for several months. There are hundreds of beautiful houses that still keep the original style from previous centuries. And there is a good reason for this. In the year 1994, Capilla del Señor was the first town to be declared as an asset of national historical interest. Since that moment, a commission for the preservation of the heritage of the town was created. This same commission grants every year an award to the houses and shops that manage to recover the splendor of their properties. The idea of this contest is to promote the restoration and preservation of the fronts that are part of the heritage of the town. Here are some examples of houses that have received this prize. Finding these and so many other beautiful old houses is another good reason to explore the town on foot. And these are examples of shops that still keep the old facades alive. Since there are thousands of people living in this place, there's quite a lot of movement during the week, especially in the downtown area. However, it's a different story after lunch when nap time begins and, as you can see, the town goes quieter. Walking through the town streets, I noticed a small detail. There are several houses with this same tile depicting the Argentine flag waving in the wind. It's a little gesture, but a beautiful one. If you follow the river upstream, you'll arrive to an area called Cinco Puentes. Here you'll find several bridges of different sizes, a small one like the one at the beginning, medium like this one, and if you carry on through these old dead train tracks, you'll see the biggest one. Right now there is a terrible drought affecting the province of Buenos Aires and many other places of Argentina, and that's why there is so little water in the stream. If it wasn't for this, there would be much more water, and a proof of this is this relief channel that had to be built some time ago. Hopefully it will be over soon and the creek will come back to life again. This area is very popular among the locals and is especially used during the afternoon, where they can enjoy drinking some mate in the open air. It's a great place for an outdoor walk and to spend some time away from the city. Unfortunately, this was all for today. Hope that you enjoy Capilla del Señor as much as I did, and I'll see you soon in the next town.